Okay.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time. Today, I will be your facilitator for the meeting. My name is Nadim Karam. I'm relatively new, so just a quick introduction on myself. I am Lebanese, born and raised in Dubai. I've been in the Cardano community, a massive fan since 2017, but a little quiet in the background because I've always been busy with a full-time job. And recently, I've decided to resign and go, all in on Cardano. And which brings me here, nominated myself to be a facilitator, and I am supported by two awesome co-facilitators who are Nori Nishigaya, who most of you might know, and then Charlie Roberstad, who recently just became a father for the first time, just got a baby girl, a future Cardanian. So that's your facilitator team, and then you have on the secretary side, led by Stephen Rowan, who's on the call with us. So obviously he's been adding a lot of value already with organizing and documenting everything. And he's also supported by Alice Sitar, Michael Yagi, and Peter Walcott. And all of us together are your admin team. So our sole purpose is to hopefully make your lives a little bit easier. Right. So with that, we already started meeting. We had initial meetings. We're already getting up to speed, and we do see some areas of improvement. We're getting ideas. We're starting, and hopefully, with time, we'll be able to add some value. And what I could say for sure is we're all super excited, and we really feel we're all part of something really special, something bigger than all of us. So, looking forward to start adding value. And with that, maybe we'll start. I'll quickly take everyone through the agenda items. Stephen, will you be sharing your screen?
I can do. What was it? Share screen. Okay. Okay, here we go.
Perfect. All right. So we'll first start on the CC action items, which really should be the bulk of the conversation. We've put here 30 minutes. But we're going to allow some more time because this is really the bulk of it in case we need some more time. And here we're going to go through the new Trello board that has been done by Stephen based on conversations that you guys have all kind of almost agreed on. And we're going to confirm it now. We'll take you through it as a live demo and move we're going to actually, my mistake, sorry. We're going to use the old Trello, but moving forward, we're going to use the new Trello. So for now, we're going to use the old Trello because that's where all the action cards are. So my apologies, my bad. And what we're going to do is all agree on what's happening on each card item and where it should be. We should update it so that we're all aligned. And then the next real big part is defining the next election. So how are we going to hand over to the next team and hopefully in a very easy, seamless way and ensure a continuity, and how are we going to also share our knowledge to the C teams? That should take around 20 minutes. And then Dean will take us through a scam problem sensing, an interesting sort of initiative that we could look into that will make us more resilient for scams in a decentralized way. And then open discussion, open conversation. This is really just overflow again, some time, unless there's anything sort of pressing that might come up that we could use this time for. And then we have 10 minutes to discuss C Society. Felix will take us through it. These are sort of mini communities within our Cardano community that are doing some awesome things. We have Space of Urgency, Secret Dex, Pace, QA DAO, eDonation. And so they've reached out to us and they want us to collaborate. So Felix is going to talk us on how maybe we can synergize and amplify all the work that they're doing. And then finally, just closing remarks and action items, and then your feedback. We have some buffer time in the end. And obviously here we'll ask for your candid feedback on how can we improve. With that, we'll start with the first action item, which is updating the Trello board. Here, Stephen is going to share his screen as well on the Trello board. And we now have 30 minutes, but we can take a bit more time if needed, because really this is the action. This is the most important point. And we'll go through each person can update us on the action items, where they are and where each of their sort of cards should be. With that, anyone that really wants to start, there's no system for now. It's going to be a collaborative thing. Maybe later we'll have individual time for each person. But for now, we've decided this 30 minutes is going to be like just an open discussion. Anyone would like to join to start, please do. Otherwise, I'll nominate someone. Awesome. Dor, would you like to start, please? Awesome. You have your hand raised. That's perfect.
Yeah, I have some good news. I still a few days/weeks away from making like big public announcements, but definitely we can move the IOG. How do we remove IOHK from every decision making catalyst to raw problems researching?
Every
We
decision.
started.
Yeah, that one.
So and we can discuss. I mean, also maybe we can discuss what is it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we are starting to be in a position where that problem is start to be researched and defined internally in IO. So then the question here is that enough to move it to from the problem backlog to the raw problems, right?
Just
For me, it
a
feels
question.
like,
Just a question. So you mean IOG is going to take it end to end? So
no,
you
but
mean is this something we should
not
remove, or
not end to end, but like the
to move it?
initial
Okay.
stages
Got it.
of like
going in the path.
kind of like basically going down the path and defining what it means and the mechanisms, and also opening up for community discussion and really like kind of like opening this whole thing up is coming soon. Okay, so there's like internal like so yeah, I'm really excited about it, and also I think IO stakeholders are excited about it as well. I guess the question if like technically if that means that it should still be in the backlog until we are ready to talk about it publicly, or can we move it to the raw problems, right? So I guess the kind of
Currently, it's being
like
researched.
if it was for the CAs, right? If the CAs were like, we are starting to have internal conversations within the CA how to tackle this problem, would that mean that it's in the raw problems, or is there a requirement that it's like all open and transparent to get it there?
If
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Judy.
Just an opinion. I think if you, I believe this making it a raw problem is like, and what you described to me is like the first step in a roadmap of the realization of IOG being the owner to really hand it over. So it's the first step. Even if this means, okay, let's do an analysis. What do we need to consider to go down the road? And this is kind of initiating the process of an analysis of as is. And I don't know if this, see where are the points that need to be tackled. So I believe it's really you getting work done. There's some thought, and so I would believe that this is just fine to put there.
Yeah, we're mobilizing.
Yeah.
And we're mobilizing, and honestly, like we're gonna open it up for the community as soon as possible, and definitely like in the form of the circle, great place to discuss and refine this. Like I think getting the circle's perspective on it, even if I can't share lots of details from my end, but just getting everybody's input, so we can move it to the more defined problem. That could be great.
With input, you mean? I'm sorry. So with input, you mean like what would we consider items or issues to be part of that discussion?
That's right. Like so,
okay.
so like yeah, like a well-defined problem. Like basically, it could be even like it can define. I mean, I guess it would be like two things. One would be like, how would every group, right, in Catalyst C define it as a success, right? Like we solved the problem. And also what kind of particular challenges does each group see, you know, if we want to go there. As we I don't know if we want to, but like as we do that, you know, like what things do you want IOG to reflect on, right, as we're doing this stuff.
So if my understanding is correct, I think we're all reaching a consensus where we're able to move this to raw problems. Now it's still being researched, and then at hopefully the next stage we'll be able to define it and then move to sharing it with the community. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. So that's done. Next, any other updates from anyone? So here is the forum really for you to give the updates on what has been done over the past 2 weeks. So really, I encourage anyone please to step up. Maybe next time we'll allocate time for each person. But for now, maybe we'll have an open discussion. You know, what has been the updates over the past 2 weeks, and what can we progress forward?
So regarding the shared with community about funds, so I suppose we can move a little bit forward. So it's not only shared with the community, but it's already.
Which one was that?
In the CC funds, the ping and the next column, shared with community.
All right. Okay.
The
CC
first one,
fund.
yeah. So I suppose we can move forward. So currently we are just waiting, of course, you know, the results of that. And as soon as we have some result there, then we can move to the next stage.
Yeah.
So currently there's like a waiting game a little bit on that.
Perfect. I think we're all aligned there.
Yeah. I don't think we will not start discussions about if the funds are not, you know, if you don't get the funds. So
we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. So regarding awareness, another point. So basically, we're working on that, and I'm just trying to figure out if it's a circle, some kind of issue. It's like, I suppose it's more on different groups, so it's not a global problem. Awareness for SPOs, and as I previously told, you know, regarding that thing. So as soon, you know, people know about Catalyst, then usually they're moving in toolmaker group. So it's like it's ongoing process of promoting and giving out information, and trying to figure out how to because it's not like you can solve it. You can prepare some materials or pinpoint to where to go.
I'm sorry, Loris. Can you tell me which box you're referring to?
In the first ones, just go back on the first guys on column. Sorry. Awareness. Second column. Go down. SPO. Awareness.
That one.
Improve awareness of Catalyst circle.
So the second one on the raw problems. It's the third one. Improve awareness of the Catalyst circle.
Okay. Okay.
And there was one more, but okay. So this is, I suppose, something a little bit different. But yeah. So this is. There was some from SPO standpoint. I think we merged something together with somebody, with some other point. Yeah, but it's like an ongoing process. So and I suppose we have to figure out how to involve different parties to solve this. So from our stand, you know, we are promoting Catalyst and promote it. So it's not SPO centric. So that's why I think we have to actually work together with all others, you know, people involved here.
So just because maybe I've missed this, the background. So here the objective is what, or the challenge is what, and what is the solution? What are we working towards?
Yeah, it's okay. Let me share then. So basically, there's not an issue, but awareness for SPOs. So a lot of SPOs don't actually know about Catalyst. And the goal from my side, as I'm representing SPOs, is like to get them to at least to share them information about Catalyst and explore the opportunities which are provided there. And that way, that was one of the points which I when I started here, so we discussed. So, and of course, it's not only SPO centric. So it's every other group also has this some kind of goal supposed to create awareness.
Okay, and the awareness is about Catalyst in general, not Catalyst Circle.
No, Catalyst. Yeah, it's about Catalyst.
Okay, so maybe we'll change that title as well. So just overall Catalyst.
Okay, I'll change it to. Shall I
Just
change it?
Catalyst, just
Okay.
awareness of the Catalyst process or something. And so, what is the action point? Where are we now? Anything that we can help with?
So that's kind of tricky question, because it's not like we can do, of course, from Catalyst we can make some kind of announcements, etc. So that of course we can do. Work with smaller groups who are involved, and like from my side, I'm working with Spoker, and Felix is working with their group, and of course in Felix group most people know about Catalyst. So the tool makers. So that's kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe others can.
Maybe incentive. Maybe we should think of incentivizing in a different way. But
So,
yeah, I mean, so you would consider this a well-defined problem at the moment? So now you know specifically what the action point is?
No.
Or is it still okay?
It's still, because well-defined problem will be that okay, we understand and we could figure out how to approach that.
Okay.
But
okay. So what would you require, and what is the next step in order to turn it into a well-defined problem? What's the plan?
I suppose to have a discussion how we can do it and figure out if we can work together with different groups and tackle this. Currently, we are doing like in small groups, and it's like a different strategy for each group and creating awareness. So maybe Felix can give his insight on this, or anyone else who is like.
Yeah. So this is a communal problem.
This is
so for me, this is a communal problem. It's not like every person has ownership of each card. It's like a communal thing.
I suppose it's community. It's like a specific one, like SPOs and delegators. I suppose this will be quite a good community where we could work more. Tool makers and cohort, I suppose they know already a lot about that. So therefore, this is like still some kind of community-driven approach, which we have to figure out how to do the best.
Okay.
Because each of us have different channels, but it's not like if you leave, then it means that the Catalyst Circle version 2 has to develop new channels. So that's why it's kind of not solved yet.
Okay. I'm just trying to sort of digest from what you're saying. What is the action point, and maybe how can we help? Like, if maybe you want to set a session for this, a separate session, maybe some specific date and time that anyone who is involved can sort of get on a call and discuss this specifically. We can have this over the next week, for example. Would this seem like a good action point?
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Let's do that. So, Loris, you seem to be the most knowledgeable about this. Maybe if you want to just schedule a meeting, I'll definitely join, or we can discuss it in the Telegram, and we'll agree on a date and time for next week, and we'll have this discussion.
Yeah, and also I would love to know who sees this also like this kind of issue, which would be nice to tackle.
Yeah, I think it's a communal thing, actually. Everyone here would be able to add value. So yeah, I'd encourage everyone to get involved in this. I think it's one of the most important problems, improving awareness of Catalyst, for sure. Awesome. So this is clear. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one thing. So we narrowing, let's say, the problem to awareness rather than to onboarding.
Yeah. This one is just to improve awareness, because
Awareness,
it's true
okay.
that so many people
Yeah.
don't even know
Onboarding
about
was
it.
Okay.
different problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
onboarding
more.
was another one.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Mhm.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. I'm actually looking forward to this, Lars.
Yeah,
Cool.
this is, also from other standpoint, a lot of things like we are growing already quite fast. So then
Yeah.
maybe, Dor can, answer if how much we need,
Yeah.
because at the same time, creating awareness and attracting, let's say, value, some valuable, some kind of people who can bring something up for community and,
Yeah.
some quality tools, then that's another thing. So we don't want, that there's too much, too many projects, which doesn't make sense.
And
Perfect.
Nadim, as
I see hands.
Nadim, as
Yeah, go ahead.
facilitator, you should always have a look on the live chat in the Zoom call. It's very important.
I'm sorry about this. Yes. Sorry, guys. My first time. I'll definitely learn as I go. Perfect. And because Dor, I saw you raise your hand. If there's something you want to discuss about this, let's go. Otherwise, Dean had his hand probably on something else. Dor, you want something about this topic?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just-
Please go ahead.
Just in terms of efficiency, it's like, if it's a general problem, like Cardano community members are not aware of Catalyst, this weekend we're gonna have somewhere around 70,000 members of the community and watching a summit. And one of the tracks of the summit, it shows 140 videos of Catalyst projects and another track, 2 tracks out of like the 6 tracks or something in the whole summit. 2 of them are just about Catalyst. Like Voltaire, half of it is about Catalyst.
Yeah.
It's a track 0.5. I would say, like, if that's the problem, as it is defined right now, I would say, like, after the summit, we should just move it to solved and move on to other things, unless we have a much clearer definition. Because I would say that unless you live in a hole in the ground after the summit, you're gonna be aware of Catalyst.
So my perspective, I
Yeah,
totally
makes
agree. We're
sense.
going to raise a lot of awareness, but maybe I think there's never going to be enough awareness on Catalyst. There's always going to be new people we'd like to sort of reach out to, and maybe we could use all this content from the summit to then amplify and reach even more people. I believe this could be, this maybe awareness of Catalyst might be an always on recurring thing that we should all be working on.
You can always be better. You can
Yeah.
always be better in any parameter, but that would make us really lose our focus here. I think the
I
whole
see what you mean.
the whole point of this circle is that we go back to our communities and we talk about the problems that they experience, not what we want
Good point.
everything to be.
Good
And
point.
then when we address this and we build trust, right, that we're listening.
Good point.
So I would rather focus my energies on specific concrete issues brought by people rather than like, of course I want all these things. I work every day to do these things, but I think for the circle, it's much better to establish itself as a representative of the people, right? Of the groups.
I see what you mean, and minimize our what we need to give as an output, and we can't keep adding things and it's ongoing. So I see what you mean. Does anyone else agree? If everyone else has an objection, otherwise we can go ahead with that. So basically, put our efforts on.
We have 2 hand raises. I think Dean wanted to say. No. I think first was Dean.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, add to this. I mean, on the Cardano governance Telegram that I've just been using recently, I did a very unofficial poll that had about like 30 responses, but 10 of those 30 responses said they've never voted. One of those 30 said they don't even know what Catalyst is, and this is on the governance Telegram, the Cardano governance Telegram. So to have 10 people out of 30 not even ever have voted once, and one person not even know what it is, I think that the community is indirectly telling us that it is a concern. That being said, though, Dor has said in the past, and I agree, that we're not here to come up with solutions. We're here to I guess bring the problems to the communities and have the communities decide. Yes, Dora, I see 29 of 30 are aware of Catalyst, but 10 of 30 had never even voted, not once. And I think that is an issue.
Guys, I
But
totally
again, it's not something
Yeah.
that we're trying to find solutions for. We're just trying to figure out how we can get our specific communities to provide their input and to come up with the solutions on their side of it.
guys, I totally see both points. Initially, I saw it at one point, and then Doris saw it at another point, which also makes sense. May I suggest to keep the action point as is? Loris was going to lead on creating a small session, maybe 30 minutes, sometime next week to discuss this, and maybe then we'll agree on should we continue with this or not. Does that sound sort of agreeable for everyone? Perfect. Cool. Let's do that. Julie, please go ahead. You have your hand raised.
No, I'm waiting for the onboarding problem, so I can.
Yeah, I think
contribute
we're
there.
done with this one, so we can go with the onboarding problem. It is, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great because going to the next point on the onboarding is actually manifesting of the vast interest and awareness we might create now at the summit. So onboarding itself now is a problem. Is it going to be an even greater problem next week? Maybe yes. And is this might be a momentum that we can, you're laughing. I'm sorry. So whether you have plans or, yeah, I don't know, want to jump indoor? No, okay. Yeah, so the thing is, would that be something we really urgently would come up with, like a creative guidance for solution for the community that can be capturing at least a portion of those people? And
Honestly, that would be great. That would be amazing. Like, so what do you suggest? How would we go about this?
Yeah, I suggest have a conversation because I'm sure that some people here have ideas. So just open up the discussion. And let it flow. Like constructing over ideas just brings out the best idea, I think.
Makes sense. Dora, go ahead.
So just quick information point. Okay, so we have this just learned there's like 65,000 people registered to the summit.
Nice.
And probably gonna get to 70,000 or something like that by tomorrow. At least half of these are gonna learn about Catalyst, and the call for action that we have is register to vote. Okay, so we're basically referring them to register in Daedalus, and then with the mobile app that's going to be released, the new version is going to be released, and we're directing them to login ID scale. Okay, so in a way we can say we're going to have a fresh wave of people. We're going to probably go up from like 37,000 people in ID scale. I think we're probably going to get up to 50,000. That's my guess. So we're going to have these 13,000 new people, and we can email them, right? We can be in touch with them. So so we can invite them to something. That's just to launch the conversation from there. What do we do now? Okay.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Oh, we connect them to town hall. I'm sorry.
Felix, go ahead. Maybe Julie, you'll go next, because I saw Felix also had his hand up.
No, ladies first. Go, Julie.
Nice of you, Felix. Please go ahead, Julie.
You don't want Julie?
No, this was just a quick comment. Like if we would sit in a room on a table, we would do that, but here we don't. So really spontaneous. Go ahead, Felix. Sorry.
Okay, 2 points to this. I think there we can build on already exactly the same principle which we discovered in the CA onboarding. which was quite effective, I think, because we arrived in a very short time to focus a very specific targeting group as well to onboard them on a fast and a safe way in the ecosystem, which is a direct outcome as well. So the problem which was stated was solved in a short process. And just, Victor, we had a call today in the Catalyst school about this also to say, okay, maybe we should target voter as well. And to say, okay, how can we allow the voters a very easy, understandable way to come into Catalyst and understand it from the very beginning, how to vote, how to register, how to participate and everything. So this is where we saw already just what was established the last time, what was said, for example, yeah, we can email them. So IoG is outreach. Then we have, for example, live sessions where people can attend. We can record the sessions that can be uploaded. There we have already the community structures which are in place, which can take this. And on the next way as well, something what is coming quite close to this was in another topic, but last Saturday we had a bunch of different projects coming together in the Swarm session. There was PACE, Q&A DAO, SecretX, Light Donation, and they work together now on the topic to build up onboarding structures and tools for the community.
I want to riff on you, Felix.
Yes.
One thing we could do is when we contact them, we can ask them like, you know, what are you looking for, right? Like,
Yes.
do you want to be an advisor, a voter, a this and that? And then once we know that, we can refer them to the right community generated, you know, content that fits their need.
And just a quick question as well. Is there one link or one platform that anyone can go to and have all the information, all the links of everything that's happening in Catalyst?
There is, and it's overwhelming. That's the problem. You read it, and then you get 30 links to 30 different rabbit holes, and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna like watch a YouTube video instead.
So maybe we need to figure out, maybe something to do is to figure out a very seamless, easy way to simplify all of that. I mean, there are some UX UI, they call it UX UI specialists that do specifically that. Like, you go into the website, what are you, a voter, then you go there, or if you're a proposer, you go there. Like, we think of funnels. So maybe something to look into as well.
Well, we're trying to hire a UX designer for months now.
Perfect.
I don't know why. I think like the Cardano ecosystem is tapped out of UX designers or something. I don't know what to tell you.
Let me get back to you on that. I work in this industry. I'm not a UX person myself, but I have contacts of good people. I'll get back to you on that. Perfect. Cool. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Peter.
Just to come back to this. So on one side, okay, to say, yeah, okay, let's build out on what we discovered already with the CA onboarding campaign. Improve this as well over the iterations, like through Catalyst style. And on the other way, what I really want to mention is this initiative for this farming, because I think altogether there are around 10, 15, 20 people working in this different groups, all coming together now, to merge and organize and coordinate their efforts. And unfortunately didn't have enough time to prepare a presentation for you, but I will provide a proposal what was written by George Lovecraft as soon as possible. But definitely it would be great if there would be some endorsement or support from Catalyst Circle, like a little bit what happened with the challenge team as well. So we state a problem, we cluster a problem, we prioritize a problem, we bring it back to the community. Community comes up with a solution, and we say, yeah, cool, great what you do. You have our support.
Also, Felix, we could have to kick this off like kind of this working session we did ad hoc with a proposal. Let's say 1 hour to get more definition. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not the right place to discuss this in full length here right now.
Yeah, good. Then let's do that.
But
go ahead.
But maybe in this specialized session, one thing that would be really useful for me to create this onboarding funnel is an analysis and a recommendation which type of roles are we ready right now to onboard, right? Like CA is great, we're ready, right? CAs, we have the people, we have the knowledge, but what about voters, and what about proposers, and what about all these other groups, right? And also, like, we don't want to show them like, here's 5 different links, right? We want to give them 1, maybe 2 max. Okay, so which 1 or 2 are we endorsing as high quality, efficient funnel?
Yeah.
So I love that output from that meeting, and I could work with that.
From personal experience, I couldn't agree more, because when I want to tell someone about Catalyst, I don't know what link to send them, because there's so many, honestly, and I'm a big part, like I'm a massive fan of the Cardano community. So if we can clarify it for the community, because I know regular people are trying to tell their friends, if we can simplify it for them, that would be great. Julie, please go ahead.
Yeah, and do we think that we should have at least 1 breakout room after town hall, assuming that if we have an immediate mailing set up, let's say on Monday, like to capture the momentum, and then your next action is town hall, and your immediate next action actually just get Daedalus and get voting, and you even get rewards therefore. I mean, I think we can have like, I don't want to, but I mean, there's the momentum and we can use it, because what is actionable now for them is voting. So maybe we can short-term focus on that in terms of onboarding. When we do the analysis, maybe we put a 1 in front of the voter, just because of the momentum, and detail some actions, but at least one breakout room. Even I would think, let's back up with a 2nd breakout room if we see like town hall is overwhelming, just in case. I don't know, because what you want is discussion, and you don't want it with 100 people. You rather would want it with, I mean, even 50 is a lot, but
Yeah, totally agree. I don't believe anyone has a suggestion or objection. If you do, please to speak up. Perfect. So we're exactly on time. It's been 30 minutes. But if there's any other sort of important topics that anyone wants to discuss, we're more than happy to extend this a few more minutes. Dor, please go ahead.
I think this is golden. I wish we could just do that for 2 hours. Like, I'm sorry I know that it's like other people have agendas, but like, look how much outcomes, right, we're getting from 30 minutes review of problems. I really wish we could do a 1 hour and a half, like just a note from the future, right? I wish we could just do 1 hour and a half reviewing, supporting people with the problems they're carrying, helping them like carry them across the line, like it will be so effective and fun. Like, I don't know if fun is the right word, but it's efficient, and I just wanna say, like, I have a very positive feeling from this kind of this structure, and I want to do more of it.
Yeah, I agree. It seems to be the most productive things that come out of it, because we're now all aligned on what we're working on. So we're happy to extend a bit more, guys. Please, anyone has any sort of update that he wants to share, or anything, any of these cards you feel need to be updated or moved, or moved forward.
Dean, can I just ask, is the onboarding card going to move forward?
Yes.
Where should it be? To raw problems.
Okay.
Yeah. And I believe, yeah, guys, I believe it's here because it's still not well defined. And then a lot of people under this card have action items, which we'll discuss towards the end. But it's yeah, makes sense here. Perfect.
Yeah, those
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's true. There's no owner on the card.
Okay.
Yeah. In the new Trello, we're gonna try. By the way, we're gonna test, like, have sort of action items attached to each person, at least to lead with people to support, because otherwise there's we felt it might add value. We'll test it out. We'll suggest it and see if that works.
Has there been a decision on an owner then, Nadim, or
Yes.
Sorry?
is there a decision on an owner for this?
No, so here, because there are many people that have action items, so at the end we have we've dedicated like 15 minutes to talk about action items and
Okay.
doing what. So we'll discuss those at the end.
So
Cool.
that's the new agenda.
Yeah. So no one had any updates other than that on the cello. We can move on. Cool. Perfect. So next is defining the next selection. So how are we going to sort of transfer this authority and the roles that we have in the most efficient and effective way to the newcomers? Here again, sort of open discussion, and then we'll talk about the next election session where Felix will talk about chain vote, an opportunity which we can look into. So yeah, Dort, please go ahead.
I want to suggest we do a quick roundtable, kind of a quick retro, like a 5-minute retro, just saying like, what is one thing that was good about voting round 1, circle round 1, the process we had, and what was one thing you would like to improve? And just get everybody's perspective, and then we can launch into requirements.
Makes sense.
So like, I mean, I guess I would start. I think the thing I liked is that it happened in a short time and it was feasible. You know, it got us here, and the thing I would improve is I think at least for the voter representative, I'd really love that to be like, you know, the ADA voters like vote for them, you know, somehow integrate it into Catalyst voting, so actual ADA holders can actually choose their representative through the voting app. That actually makes a lot of sense. That's my suggestion. That's me.
Totally makes sense. Anyone else would like to sort of look back at maybe some of the learnings that we can take forward?
Yeah, the good thing that of course it happened, and yeah, that's really a good thing. So not much discussion there, but at the same time, it's also the bad thing because there was not much time to prepare. And a lot of people were just, you know, even those who were there prepared, that they didn't show up. Either they didn't know that they have to show up for the voting or whatever. So yeah, so I think we, at least from SPO side, yeah, we have to work a little bit more on that, giving out information and setting some schedule there, and some kind of presentation from each of the whoever comes, you know, who decides to yeah, try this, then basically some kind of presentation and giving them chance to present themselves. Regarding the ADA voters, it depends how it works. So because I don't want that, you know, there is that those who have larger bags of ADA get higher votes or etc. So therefore, it's that of course we can discuss.
Yeah, makes sense. Dean, sorry, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, no, I was gonna just pretty much agree on the two things I just saw. What Doris said about the ADA voters may be integrated into the voting app, but then I saw also what John mentioned and how I was voted in was with a selection committee, and as long as the selection committee has requirements that we'll touch on after this, that they're looking for in the ADA representative, so then maybe the voting app has a votes on a selection committee, and I think John put that in chat. But I just want to say that both of those sound logical, and that's all I wanted to add.
Perfect. Victor, you had your hand raised, I believe.
Yeah, I would say that something that went well was that we could somehow be sure that each person was voting only once, But something that was not so good was that we needed people who wanted to vote had to be available during the town hall and had to be there at that time. They could not vote in a different time. So I think this could be improved somehow.
Yeah. Perfect. Anyone else would like to sort of reflect? Perfect. So, I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the positive thing was to that it was a natural process because people started with what was very intimate. I think that was good. And what I experienced from my voting round, so someone was nominated and he didn't know. I assume he didn't saw the email, but for whatever reason, doesn't matter. But he didn't know. He still made the presentation, and then he said, after he was selected first, then he jumped off. So I think we need at least some mechanisms just for backup. I mean, this is a very maybe stupid detail, but but things summing up, and it was like a lot of questions. What do we do with that, and how should we manage that? So just a backup, kind of a definition. So for any reason, the first one jumps off, and the second would have taken the place, but then said as well, maybe I'm not the first, so I rather would like to vote again. So all these mechanisms can happen just to try to make it clear. But maybe for automated voting process, this is falling behind. It's not an issue anymore. But if we still will handle kind of a more manual process, then we might think on those details, since they could present some, yeah.
Brilliant. I believe Felix will be discussing later potential solution on that. Perfect. But Felix, you had your hand raised as well. Please go ahead.
I think the good thing what happened is that it happened, because this is the only reason why we sit here now and discussing for the next step. And that the right person feel addressed as well. And the biggest pain point, I think, is when we look on some people who have been elected, that they casted more than 60% of the votes who have voted for the specific role, and others it was not even possible to vote for them.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference between 30 people voting for one person who received more than 60%, and for another role there isn't even somebody voting, and there has to be a committee who selects. And because everything is in live, excludes a huge amount from the community, or was in live.
Very, very good point. Victor, I think you had your hand raised and then moved it. Anything you want to discuss?
No, it was raised from before.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Listen, I think it's great. Everyone gave their input and it's very valuable input. What I would suggest then, maybe Stephen will be sending minutes of the meeting and it will all be available. Maybe we go through the thoughts of each person and we can sort of, each one can think through, and maybe we can even discuss on the Telegram, thoughts on how can we well define it. And then by the next circle meeting, hopefully we'll have we'll decide on an action plan. How does that sound?
Could I add something real quick?
Of course.
I was just thinking that maybe we can add a time to discuss like term limits, how many times one person can serve.
Yeah, good point. Dor, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think we need to start to reverse engineer the election process. So we need to figure out, we need to have a timeline, and I think that's like a task for the secretary, okay, to when do we need the elections to happen, right? So we can, so basically when Fund 7 starts, we have a circle, and then how much time, right, is in sufficient enough time to declare the rules of the voting, so people have time to prepare. And then also back from that, when do we need to finish specifying them, right? So we basically need to project manage this process to make sure we do it in time. and provide recommendations and deadlines, and then we can basically like just like plan our time so we can make the deadline.
Totally makes sense. Like a pre-planned timeline where ever so often a process starts. Totally makes sense. Perfect, guys. I think we can move on to the next point. So defining the next election process, Felix is going to take us through a potential that we could look into, which is chain vote. Felix, off to you. You want to share your screen?
No, not yet, because
okay.
it was a little bit too late. Everything normally they wanted to present last week already, but they presented yesterday. And we had a short discussion about this in the Telegram channel already. So I don't know if it's right now already the good moment to speak about this, because chain vote, it would specifically go into the topic, which voting process app will be used for Catalyst Circle number 2. So there is a group joining, and they developed a on-chain voting app, which is currently running on Hyperledger. And then there have been the concern already, okay, hey, it's not so nice maybe to use a not house-made application, where we had already some feedback with the community also on Wednesday in the aftertone, where I was said, yeah, but last time it was a Google form, so this wasn't a house-made neither, and it wasn't really not accepted by IOG to use this, but I don't think that now there's already something really ready to present, as it just started. So in 2 weeks might be a better.
Makes sense. And if any updates come along from now to 2 weeks, obviously there's a Telegram chat which you can always bring up. Perfect.
What would be interesting for me just to know if it would be acceptable to use a voting application which is not running on Cardano, for example, for Catalyst Circle number 2, but which would be already an improvement to a simple Google form.
Dor, I saw you unmuted yourself. Didn't raise your hand. Well, I feel you had something to say.
I'm just like, maybe depends on the situation. Like, I think we need to. I think it's like, yeah. I mean, I guess we can. We can use a. I don't think we have to be dogmatic about what we use, but it does need to meet some set of requirements and criteria that we define. It's not, so, and the nice thing about the Google form, it's just there, exists, and people know how to use it. It's very easy. Everybody can use it.
Are there
a special app you need to install or learn how to use, etc.
Are there? You mentioned there are criteria, minimum criteria. Are there defined? Maybe part of IOG or no? So I guess it'll have to be based on the solution case by case, where Felix gets back to us on what seems to be a good solution that we can discuss. So Felix, basically, it seems like, yes, we're open-minded as long as it makes sense, and we'll take it case by case.
And just a very short feedback, it isn't an application which you have to download. You can do it directly. You just get a link, you get an invitation, you go just on a simple browser. You will be assigned by email or mobile phone, and the whole voting happens on Hyperledger, so everything can be verified.
Perfect. So maybe we discuss this when the solution is mature and ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
perfect. Yeah. Go ahead, Felix.
Just was my point to follow this initiative a little bit, or this alternative, was because it's a very low-hanging fruit. It's ready to run, and it's an easy use case where the voting itself wouldn't require so much of effort or complex development by the users themselves.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Perfect. So next we'll move on to the next action item, which is a potential new sort of project, which is scam problem sensing. Dean will be taking us through it. Over to you.
Thank you. I probably won't take 10 minutes, but just wanted to, I guess the main thing that has been happening lately well, it's been continually happening, but it's becoming a focus lately, is these scams that are popping up anywhere. And obviously what's preventing all crypto from mass adoption is fears like scams. Currently we have a campaign for Cardano Emerging Threat Alarm, which is where people are putting their type of like scam prevention, but that heading is more focused, I think, towards like vulnerabilities, well, DDoS attacks, like Sybil attacks, 51% attacks. Like these are kind of the things that are under that heading. What I'm thinking is that if we actually have a specific campaign for just scam prevention, and I think that will actually allow for more proposals to come on, maybe Fund 7 or Fund 8. Yes, Dor.
Can we just endorse the challenge? Can we, I mean, this is one of those things that if it's like an easy, it seems like kind of like one of those like, bam, let's solve it kind of quickly, because I think everybody feels the problem. And so just as a shortcut, you can come to the next town hall, present the problem, and like ask, maybe share some kind of form like that people can volunteer, like who wants to be part of a challenge team for Fund 7, and like get it started and see where it goes. And then we can like move the scam thing right from raw right to communicate it to community in 4 days.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I presented it to the group a couple of days ago. This is the exact feedback that I was looking for. I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd be equipped enough to lead a campaign on this. Just my lack of experience with IdeaScale, but I would love to present it and assist in any way that I can. And if anybody else would be willing to assist, I'd appreciate that.
Perfect. I think that was straight to the point. So I believe Dean, sorry, this came out from a specific group within the community that reached out to you?
Well, this is I represent all the voters, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint which community that is. All voters are encompassed in this, I guess, like
So,
I'm supposed to be representing.
Apologies, maybe I'm not here, but where did this come from? Like, where did this initiative come from?
Okay, so there was there's the search committee. There's a person there. His name is Jordan. He actually had like a Q&A after one of the town halls, and this was one of the issues that someone raised to him. So from there, it went to the Trello board, and that was just community feedback after one of the town halls.
I mean, it's a great challenge as long as there's someone to lead it. And Dean, obviously you have a lot on your plate as well. Maybe the person that suggested to you, or someone, because it seems like there needs to be someone pushing it through, dedicated to this challenge.
The Jordan, who actually brought it up to me in a one-on-one, already has put something towards the I guess the idea in IdeaScale, and I can put that in the Telegram afterwards.
Brilliant. So any support or any action that you require from the Circle team,
100%. I specifically wanted the feedback to just be able to move it through the board, but like Dor said, I mean, if we could just present it at a town hall, we could pretty much knock this one out.
Perfect.
Because it is something that everybody cares about.
Agreed. Perfect. Sounds good. I think we're actually around 8 minutes ahead of time. Surprising. So here we have 10 minutes, just an open conversation. Anything that maybe anything someone wanted to discuss that come up, any updates, any lingering items that anyone wants to discuss. Victor, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would just suggest that maybe this is a good time for Dor if he would like to mention something about the retrospective week at the end of Fund 6.
Yeah, I think, yeah, this is a completely new component in Catalyst that we're launching. And right now it's a label and it needs to be filled with content. And I think the objective for this retrospective week is really, we want to have a mechanism where we continue to evolve over time, right? And we want to have a designated time where nothing is happening, outside of that, and people can really focus on sharing what they learned this fund, sharing improvement proposals, and hopefully coming out with what you do like in a traditional retrospective, which is like a prioritized list of action items, like of basically like issues that could be corrected, and some kind of a plan of like how can we do it better, right, for the next fund. So maybe just pick, maybe we can do some. I guess I would revert to facilitating some like after town hall, like we can facilitate in after town halls and Swarm and stuff like that, like retrospective sessions that the circle members can facilitate, and and it should be kind of like not like it should be like the lived experience, right, on Fund 6, right, and then like how can we improve that experience for Fund 7 versus not like retrospective on governance of like entire world, like kind of like scope it in a more directed way, I think. And I guess it was my initial thought, and I wonder if other people have, if people resonate with that idea, if you have more ideas. That's about it.
I just mentioned here in the chat because I think this is a great opportunity to come up with some problem statements for the second Catalyst circle, at least some ideas to be voted on afterwards. But I think it's a great opportunity for this, and maybe we can like host different breakout rooms in the last town hall of Fund 6. Maybe one for CAs, one for proposers, one for tool makers. Dean can ask some voters to come in. Maybe if some stick around here after the summit, something like this. And we've been doing this. We've done this in Fund 3 and 4, and I think 5 as well. But we didn't like write anything. Yeah, actually we wrote something down, but we didn't keep track of the things that we wrote down. But now this could be somehow incorporated to the Catalyst circle process and be used every fund.
Perfect. I love the idea, and no one seems to be objecting. And also from our side, sorry, Felix, go ahead.
The only problem here I see is it's a good idea, but just due to what we saw in the previous especially the last weeks, the time availability of the most of the Catalyst circle, I think it might be difficult to ask again everybody to show up in live sessions when we know already some people here don't have at all the time to do so.
Absolutely right. And I was actually just about to say, obviously as the facilitator team, your admin facilitator team specifically, we should be able to step up on this and we can take this forward. So we'll obviously reach out to you on Telegram, but yeah, we're more than happy to facilitate such sessions. Leave this on us and we'll reach out to you where and when we need it. So this is an action point on us. Perfect. We're still on overflow, sort of overall discussions and anything that anyone wants to discuss before we can move on. All good? Perfect. So next item, yeah, Sea Society. This is quite interesting. Felix, over to you.
This is the project where I just spoke earlier about, the onboarding process.
Yeah, we did discuss this. It was just the onboarding process, because from what I understood, maybe I'm correct, is that these are many different communities within the Cardano community that sort of want to collaborate with us on multiple different things, unless I've understood it wrongly.
Exactly. And on the beginning, we called it the C Society, or ROR, so reputation, rewarding, and onboarding systems and structures for Project Catalyst, were also funded proposals, part of this initiative. They came the first time together on last Saturday, and all agreed on working together to collaborate, merge their engagement and their efforts. And for now, it's specially led also by George Lovecraft. I think I posted the link in the Telegram, but I'm not sure if I missed this, because they had a second meeting yesterday, and what they offer is to focus on the very beginning or altogether on onboarding structures and tools as well. And as this comes from the community, but definitely would need an cooperation or coordination also and collaboration from IOG side. It means that it would be really great, as what one of the goals of Catalyst Circle is to facilitate the conversations between different groups and also to help to build solutions, so that there would be, for example, a door. This comes to you as you're part of IOG here. Say that they came up already with a very first proposal, and also to have feedback from IOG side. What are your points of view there, and where, because this bridge have to be built from two sides, especially it's a lot about also how the documentation and the tracking is functioning in the ecosystem.
Of course, I mean, as usual, write out, like, if people can write it out in a clear way that can be understandable in writing, I will make sure to read it, give feedback, pass it on to the research team, have them give feedback. No problem.
Perfect.
So maybe do we have some very short minutes? Because this is definitely my fault. I didn't got enough time at all to present it to the circle. So sorry for this, but yeah, there we come again with the time availability. Because there is a proposal already, but I don't know if it's good to have it's a short proposal. So if you could shortly run through it right now, or
Yeah,
do you
sure.
think?
Sure. I would say here, I mean, obviously everyone here, all the constituencies within the circle have a big role, as well as the Cardano community. Unfortunately, David was not able to join, but I would also urge to get him involved in this process as well, for sure. I believe they have a good role to play here.
I mean, I just important to mention that reputation system is like probably like one of the top 3 hardest problems in governance. And like, you know, there've been like countless attempts and nobody really solved it. It's like, we're not gonna get meaningful outputs from a very short discussion. This is why, like, I think a written form is very useful. Felix, if you want to get like our gut checks about it or quick feedback, I'm happy to do it right now.
Yes.
But from a perspective of like circle time, it's not like
No, I'm totally aware of this. And we said already also this group that they especially focus on onboarding, because we know that when it comes to rewarding and reputation, yeah, this is nothing what you handle in some weeks. Yes. And I think it's Stephen, can you correct me? Is this the right link? Because I think so. Because I've far too much.
Sorry. Is a proposal by George?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So I told him already to be careful with stating it change process, because yeah, change does mostly trigger something, so much more it's a evolving iteration from things. But yeah. So, what is the best way to read through this? I think the main goal is to say that mostly a lot of things which are happening right now, also for, let's say, for example, the CA, VCA assessments and everything, which is mostly done on Google Forms and Excel, to move everything more on Git, on GitHub and Gitbooks, on the repositories, and to build like a middleware between what we have right now and what we envision. And also, it's not about building a whole system, much more in providing building blocks and tools, which can be used in several ways. So it's not the goal to build a whole new system and everything, just to come up with new tools, new use cases, which can be used on both sides in a common way. And maybe Stephen, because you are very involved there, and I know I didn't have the time to jump enough into the material. Yeah, maybe I would like to give you the voice if everybody is agree. Because you're a little bit the Git master here of the community, who also showed very good use cases, how it can be used in an effective way.
Provides a brief background. George has basically been working on a document to argue what the best platforms, open source platforms, would be for providing a kind of infrastructure for the Catalyst community. And he suggests in his report, he goes through different sorts of different alternatives. He compares proprietary platforms with open source platforms and settles on Gitbook as a front end to GitHub repositories. And that's because it allows the information that's put into the Gitbook to be easily to be accessed from other platforms at the back end, to be tracked. It's also open source. It's very accessible to everyone. That's really where he's coming from on that. He wants to introduce a voting system whereby people vote on these kind of improvements to get kind of an authoritative source of technology, if you like. So the community will vote or show their support for certain solutions, certain technological solutions, and also for possibly to lend their support to certain authoritative sources of information, for example. So that seems to be the direction where it's going to. It's still very early days. He's doing a lot of the lead, the initiative, and stepping up in terms of organizing all the groups and doing a lot of breakout rooms and stuff like that. I'm just sort of supporting the back end on the technology side.
Just
sorry guys, but I'm not clear myself on what has been agreed and next steps on that.
I think the framing was that there was a desire to share the thinking, or like share the general direction and get kind of quick feedback, I think, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Over to you guys. Anyone has feedback?
Just, I have to excuse, I'm extremely bad prepared for presenters. Shouldn't be the case.
No worries.
I think George put it in the form of a petition, like, if you like, but as I say, we need more preparation on this.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, yeah, no worries. I mean, over the next 2 weeks, we don't even need to wait for the next on the Telegram. Please, as this idea matures, we'll definitely connect and share feedback along the way. Perfect. So moving forward, it's now for us to agree on what is going to be the priorities moving forward for the next session, and sort of action items and closing remarks. So anyone has any sort of new priority that they'd like to discuss in the next session, something that we need to all sort of focus on, or they are going to be focusing on? And also, we're going to go back to everything that was discussed, the notes that Stephen has been taken to sort of identify what are the action points and who's leading on what. Before we do that, any priorities that anyone wants to discuss moving forward over the next 2 weeks? Dor, go ahead.
Seems like we're kind of a bit struggling with the town hall presentations, like maybe define a process that where the secretary and facilitator can lead that. So, you know, we get slides kind of more time, you know, that we actually generate slides like right after a meeting, so we can, you know, so for, let's say Friday, so like we have time to review it, and like there's like a sign to who's presenting which slide, and I think just a bit more on that, on the communication lines, refine that a bit. That's my suggestion.
Definitely, that's something that actually Stephen and I were discussing as we were onboarding, and we also feel that we have a role to play when it comes to that, and maybe we can add some process and rigor to this. So that's on us. We'll definitely work on it. Any other action sort of priority items that anyone wants to discuss before we go to the action items? All right, so action items. Stephen, with your help, can we go back to the maybe to the Trello boards and all the action items, and just so everyone is clear on what everyone is doing?
Yeah, sorry, that took me rather by surprise. I probably should have taken the action items in the main document. So there you go.
I see what you mean. You don't know which ones were recently updated. There's no way for you to.
It's a failure in our prep because I was taking notes as I went along. I didn't take note of the actions where I put the actions.
Okay.
So what I can do is go back after the meeting and then collect the actions.
Yeah,
so
I was going to recommend that.
So that's a failure in our process there, because what happened is I was taking notes in the cards, and obviously I couldn't do the actions at the same time, transfer the actions to one place. So I'm going to have to go back through and check everything, and obviously that will take time that we don't have at this meeting. So
we'll have that ironed out for sure next time. Apologies from our end. That wasn't as we had expected. But I think what Stephen suggested makes sense. We are going to, Stephen is going to lead, and I'll support him on the minutes of the meeting that he's going to be preparing, and we'll also list out the action items so that everyone is clear on who's sort of working on what. We're all on the same page, and this could be something that we could build on moving forward as well. Perfect. So with that, I mean, we're off to the last 20 minutes, although we have 40 minutes. We have 20 minutes for feedback, and we're going to be sharing the feedback form for you guys to fill out. Please be honest. Anything you feel that we can improve on, we're for recommendations for sure. Victor, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm who is responsible for defining the process, or at least thinking about the process of the next voting for CCV2, because I was talking to Dor and here in the chat, and I think it would be good for us at least announce something in the next town hall, because we are going to be 1 month before the beginning of the second circle. So it's good that at least people start thinking about this, thinking about applying. And even though we don't have like all the rules already defined or the guidelines, maybe they can apply or somehow let us know about their intentions, and they can withdraw their applications afterwards if they don't agree with something.
Yeah, makes sense. Dean, you have your hand raised. Please go ahead.
Are we going to incorporate any onboarding? I know the idea was thrown around about like rotating people out of the circle, so some members would still be on with the new people, and then they would leave, and then other members would take their place? Is it, are we looking at any possible options for onboarding at this point?
That's a very good point. Just on the first point that Victor was mentioning, is there a specific cutoff date that we're all aligned on that needs that a new team comes on board, or is that not is that deadline not defined?
Yeah, in 4 weeks, it's going to be our final meeting for CCV1. So ideally, in 6 weeks, we should have the first meeting of CCV2.
Okay, so it's actually an urgent discussion that we all need to have. And just building on Dean's point, if everyone agrees, I think that's extremely important. And I think this is also important for us to formalize what everyone is doing. What I'm going to recommend, and please let me know, each one of the circle members can just list down in simple bullet points their sort of handover to this new person, their recommendations, things that some of the learnings that you've come up with, how you think it should be done. Just a simple document, and then maybe Stephen and I can work on consolidating all of that into a single document. Does that make sense to anyone? I feel it would add a lot of value. It's my recommendation. Dean, please go ahead.
Well, I was going to wait till you were done hearing the responses, because I also wanted to ask if I know that we mentioned earlier requirements that we're going to need.
Yes.
And I don't know if we touched on that yet.
Yeah, I mean, just building on your point, maybe the document each person writes should have what he believes are the requirements for the new person. Like, you need 8 hours a week or something like that. Like, no one knows this information better than you, because each one of you have lived it. So I think the best way, a starting point, is that each person just writes down his thoughts in a simple Word document, and we'll combine it all together. Dory,
Yeah, at the time when I before we decided, since we haven't even decided how we're going to onboard the new members, Nori from the search committee met with me, and he basically asked me what characteristics, traits, qualities should they look for in the next circle, to pick the next representative to replace me. So I'll put that in, but yeah, that's something that me and Nori have already begun talking about. But now I'm not sure if there's going to be the same selection committee or how it's going to work. So not sure if that's even relative.
I'll also mention a comment from John Buck, which makes sense. Another option is staggered terms, so that the whole CC doesn't change at one time. So there's no a lot of disruption. That's something, if you guys want to think about or discuss. Or maybe a small overlap 1 month with veteran members, helping the new ones in the background. That's a comment from Victor. John Box asking, how long will the terms be? 6 months, 9 months, depending on stagger. All CC is not changing. CF and IOG is there, correct. 1 fund, 3 months. Victor's. So maybe this is something we.
I think this was
my suggestion. If we could go back to the suggestion, is everyone willing to write a few bullet points, their thoughts? I feel this is a very critical, starting point.
Yes.
Would anyone? Yeah. Perfect. So let's do this as an action point for everyone, and an action point, Stephen, for you and we can take the lead on this. Is let us facilitate maybe a separate meeting when everyone comes in just prepared on this specific topic, because we're running out of time. Actually, looking at the timelines, we don't have a lot of time. Maybe we'll reach out to you guys on Telegram, to create an action point. I believe we need to discuss this ASAP, maybe next week after the summit, and we'll agree on next steps. Maybe this couldn't wait for. I thought it could wait for in 2 weeks our next session, but let us lead on this, and we'll touch base with each one. Perfect. Anyone else has? Sorry, I'm seeing Dora saying also secretary and facilitation team probably. Loris, maybe old members become CC advisors for some period. Good point. I think that's great, guys. But this probably needs its own discussion. Guys, what do you suggest? We take this forward and get back to you on sort of putting everything together. Does that make sense? Or would you like to agree on this now? Discuss this now. We do have some time.
I think the biggest risk we're facing is just not completing this on time and not having a coherent process for the next circle. I think the best mitigation is actually to kind of like because we did document the process, right? With the like John has the documentation of CC version 1, so we can use that as a kind of as a first draft, right? And then we need to get 1 or 2 people from the circle that should own basically writing, suggesting like revisions, right, to what's written there, and present it to the circle, you know, and maybe there's like a few points there they want to bring to discussion, they're not sure, but I think a bunch of recommendations, right, about changes that we can just look, and maybe a lot of the things we all agree, and it's very, you know, it's very easy, and then a few directed discussion points about subjects that could be changed. I think that's something that's realistic, that like in the next, that in 2 weeks time, we can have an imperfect, you know, another iteration for the voting methods that's like more aligned with our capacity, right, to do that. And yeah, and also what I, you know, and I think also another thing to keep in proportion is that like it's okay, you know, like the voting system is, of course, yeah, it could be improved in many ways, but the question is, what's the critical things, right? It's like, because it's gonna still continue to iterate, you know, we're gonna get eventually to this like amazing on-chain voting system that's completely attack, you know, is like attack resilient, that's like super usable and very easy and intuitive and whatever, you know, we'll get there for sure. But like right now, right, like seeing now the circle and the problems we faced, what's the most important thing that we can change that would bring the biggest impact? I think probably, like, I think most of the stuff I pretty liked. I think that's a good question to ask, that can also just like help us focus, because we can discuss about every single detail, right? But it's like more important to think about if we could only change like 1 or 2 things, what would we change to get the maximum impact? You know, like I would probably say that probably like sourcing more candidates. I think there was like a bit of a candidate sourcing issue, and like giving more time in advance, for example, could be like 2 great changes, right? And like even just that, it means we iterated pretty well. So you know, just keeping it like we're all ambitious, you know, we're all idealists, we all want everything to be perfect, but also like you know, we're also working on a gazillion things, right? And this is just one mechanism out of many. I guess that's what I mean, I'd love to hear from other people. Like, I shared 2 things like that I think could be like really good positive changes, and if other people have other points and maybe want to share their insight, that's also, I'd love to hear that.
That's great, though. Thank you so much. Great points you've raised. Dean, I believe, has some points as well to add.
Yeah. So if I was looking at like the criteria that I would hold the next person up to in order to qualify, I wouldn't qualify myself for the next iteration, because I feel like there are things that the qualities that I don't possess that I feel would be it's only a detriment to the next circle if they don't make sure that there's certain things. So I feel like there are things that we need to focus on that are good for the circle that are not necessarily good or good for ourselves. And then as far as what I think is going to be a huge bonus moving forward is it took about, I'd say, 3 meetings for the circle to mesh and start moving this time around. And that isn't going to be hopefully an issue if we do everything the way we're supposed to, onboarding the next group. So it'll be a month and a half of more that they can accomplish. And the goal is to get them to accomplish as much as possible in that time frame.
Yeah. Good point. Dor, if I got you correct on your point, you were suggesting nominating 1 or 2 people to sort of lead on this initiative here, so that in the next town hall we would sort of really define a solution and approach. Is that correct? Did I understand you?
Just replace the words town hall with a circle meeting, and I think yes.
Town hall. Oh, okay.
The next town hall, like
Okay,
next
gotcha.
circle meeting, but yeah.
Okay. Any 1 or 2 people would like to nominate themselves for this? Seems like an interesting project. I'm willing to help on the background.
I can help with that.
Yeah.
Victor, awesome. Okay, Victor, you and I will get this done.
Yeah, I'm always happy to work with Victor, so I'll be happy to jump in.
Victor is fun to work with.
Yeah, that's totally.
So
So just
Victor,
like
Dor,
let me know when you guys meet, and I'll try to. I can't commit, but if it fits my schedule, I'll jump in and give you and try to contribute.
Yeah. And worst case scenario, if you're too busy, would just share with you our progress. Would love your obviously input and guidance would be great. So leave that on us, and we'll keep you posted on that, Dor.
Okay.
Awesome. Other than the feedback, Victor, previously you used to write the feedback. You used to send the link, and it used to be done directly or after the meeting. How do you guys suggest giving us feedback? We'd love that. So Steven just sent the link.
Yeah, we used to do this during the meeting. We just stopped for like 2 minutes to answer the form.
Yeah, all ears. Anyone has any feedback? We were definitely not perfect. We have a lot to improve.
Biggest pain point was the starting time.
The starting time?
Yes, definitely.
What is the issue? I think
where we extended the whole circle as well. So, because I think just no, just.
I think he's talking about today's meeting, not the Catalyst circle itself.
The starting time was 9 p.m. Oh,
I was still at the feedback for the other stuff. Sorry.
So I believe now we're talking about feedback in general, right? I mean, we're done with this. Victor and I and Dor will lead on that. Sorry if I wasn't unclear. So we're moving to the last point on feedback. How do you guys feel we can improve? And we have some buffer if anyone wants to discuss anything. Otherwise, we have some time to spare. So Steven sent the link that you guys usually used to fill out. But if anyone wants to, share their feedback here, we're open.
I mean,
right,
I shared it earlier. I said I really enjoying the Trello board, moving things, and I think I would like to suggest that we do some breakout rooms, actually, like be more efficient, like have smaller groups, like instead of all of like covering a thing, it's like maybe have like 2 or 3 groups of 2 or 3 people work in parallel. Each one brings their cards and we talk about blocks and we help them kind of move them forward. It could be like we can easily triple our output if we just do that.
I thought this was happening. That definitely makes sense. Because this is the only way that you're gonna get the people that are really, leading on that problem to discuss separately. Because otherwise, they're gonna discuss it for everyone to hear, and not really the most efficient use of everyone's time. Let's start adopting that. I totally agree. You have an issue, you want to talk to 2-3 people with the breakout room. Yeah, makes sense. Cool. If there's no other feedback, I guess we can call it tonight. Thank you all for your time. Feel free to reach out to us. Dort, go ahead. You had something to say.
Just like, do we have any? So what are we doing with like a town hall presentation and the elections and slides and like? Do we have a plan of action? Like is it? Are you guys on it? That's all I want to know.
Yes. So Stephen and I, Stephen usually leads on the minutes, and him and I are going to align on. We're going to be sharing the minutes of the meeting as well as the action points as were discussed, and who's working on what. So we're going to make sure that that's all clarified. That's definitely on us. In the minutes of the meeting, that will all be clear.
We can have that ready for the next town hall talk. Okay, so the one coming up next Wednesday. Yeah.
Good.
Awesome. Perfect, guys. Thank you all for your time. And yeah, we'll be in touch. See you soon.
Thanks, Nadim. Thanks, Nadim. It was really.
Thank you.
Good
Bye-bye.
job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nadim.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.
I think you
We
can
can
stop
stop the recording.
Stephen.